Oh no. Oh no.
How's your leg?
It hurts a little.
And your stomach?
Empty as a football.
And your love life?
Not too active.
Hello, and welcome back to another vintage inspired video, but more specifically, welcome back to the Classic Cinema Cocktail Club. This is our second episode in this ongoing series, and our cocktail today is going to be inspired by 1954's Rear Window.
Lisa? Carol? Raymond.
Before we move forward, can we please just take a moment to appreciate my outfit? Because obviously I was inspired by Grace Kelly's introduction into the film as Lisa Carol Fremont. This was the best that I could do with what I had, so I wanted to try to channel just a little bit of Grace Kelly for our video. All right, we can move forward now. I'm gonna share a little bit of the film history with you before we get into the cocktail that is directly inspired by the film. So Rear Window was directed by Alfred Hitchcock. I'm sure a lot of you already knew that. And it starred Grace Kelly, Jimmy Stewart, Thelma Ritter, Wendell and Raymond Burr. This was one of 3 films that Grace Kelly did with Hitchcock, and for Jimmy Stewart, this was one of 4. No spoilers, but this film has been out for 70 years, so I'm gonna say you've already seen it. You have already had it spoiled for you, or perhaps you're in a third camp where this is literally all brand new to you, in which case that's great. The film follows the story of L.B. Jefferies, played by Jimmy Stewart, who is a photographer confined to a wheelchair in his Greenwich Village apartment with a broken leg during an unbearable heat wave. And to pass his days, he takes up the fun hobby of watching his neighbors through his rear window. Those neighbors in various ways mirror his character's inner turmoil when it comes to his fear of commitment and his inability to make a decision on whether or not he wants to marry his girlfriend, Lisa Fremont, aka Grace Kelly, which seems like that should have been an obvious no-brainer. I mean, Grace Kelly, come on. As Jeff observes the daily routines of his neighbors, he becomes increasingly suspicious of one particular neighbor, Lars Thorwald, played by Raymond Burr. He starts to believe this man has killed his wife, so Oh, I almost broke that glass. That was scary. So then he enlists the help of his girlfriend Lisa and his nurse Stella to gather evidence to try to solve the mystery. As he becomes more obsessed with Thorwald's affairs, it puts him and his girlfriend Lisa in danger, which leads to a big climax at the end of the film. And I am not going to spoil it for you because I want you to make this drink and go and watch it. And if you've already seen it, you know what happens, but go watch it again. The film really takes place mainly in Jeff's apartment, which adds to that claustrophobia feeling. And the entire film takes place just on that one apartment and courtyard set, which was created at Paramount Studios and was really quite complex and one of the most massive of its kind at the studio. It had a giant drainage system to accommodate for the rain sequence, as well as a really nuanced lighting setup to show that day to night shift that takes place during the course of the film. The costumes were done by the legendary Edith Head. She never missed. Everything she did was perfect. The dress that I mentioned earlier that inspired this outfit, Lisa Fremont tells Jeff it was a steal at $1,100. And he goes, a what? And so I looked it up. It is, in today's money, $12,611.85.
A steal at $1,100.
$1,100? I'll list that dress on the stock exchange.
So I am with Jimmy Stewart. I am not so sure I would call that a steal, but I still want it. The film was based off the short story It Had to Be Murder, and the movie rights were purchased for $10,000 by Patron Inc., which was Jimmy Stewart and Alfred Hitchcock's production company. They had a deal with the original writer that would renew once the copyright expired, but he died in 1968. And with his passing went that original agreement. Eventually, the movie rights ended up in the hands of a literary agent who, after 1971, when ABC aired Rear Window, ended up suing Patron Inc. The suit was later dismissed, but he was awarded $25,000. The film was initially met with mixed reviews, but has since become widely regarded as one of Hitchcock's masterpieces. And it's been praised for its innovative storytelling, its set design, its suspenseful atmosphere, as well as its performances. And if you're wondering, Hitchcock's cameo comes as the clockwinder in the musician's apartment. And I think that's it for the behind the scenes film history, and now we're going to talk about the inspiration behind the cocktail. For the cocktail inspiration, my mind went to a few different things, but the first thing that I thought of that stuck was the flower bed, because it features pretty prominently in the story. It's what really drives Jimmy Stewart's character to believe that Thorwald murdered his wife. After he sees him out there acting suspiciously one night, he thinks he must be burying evidence connected to his wife's possible murder. He even has Lisa and Stella go out there one night to dig around to see if they find anything. So I knew flowers was something I wanted to include in the cocktail. In addition to the flowers, I wanted it to be mysterious because this is an Alfred Hitchcock suspense film. I wanted it to be elegant because Grace Kelly is ever so elegant. And I wanted it to be refreshing because the film takes place during a heat wave in New York. So for the mysterious, I'm going to use pomegranate juice to give the cocktail a deep, rich red color. For elegant, and this goes with the flower theme as well, I'm going to use Elderflower Liqueur. And to me, Grace Kelly is just so effervescent. I'm going to also top it with Elderflower tonic water, which goes hand in hand with a refreshing cocktail. I am making it a less strong cocktail to make it more drinkable and therefore more refreshing. Something I hadn't yet mentioned, the spirit that we're going to use to qualify for the floral theme is Hibiscus Vodka. I couldn't tell what type of flowers were in the film, but I'm thinking they were roses, but that's okay, because we're still going with the floral inspiration. All right, it is time to now start building the drink. Let me first tell you what I'm calling it. I'm calling it the Voyeur. Maybe you saw that coming, but I think it's the most fitting name for it, right? We're gonna begin with 1.5 ounces of Cutwater Hibiscus Vodka. I've had this in my freezer for longer than I care to admit, so I'm glad it is now going to a good use. Ooh! Next thing is we're gonna do 1/2 ounce of Elderflower Liqueur. This is by Saint Germain. There's all kinds of brands out there, but this is the one I've always used. I forgot to mention this one. This is passion fruit syrup, and it is meant to represent Jeff's passion for spying on his neighbors. We're gonna do 1/4 ounce of this. Off camera, I filled this. This is 0.5 ounces of fresh squeezed lemon juice. Last ingredient is our pomegranate juice. We're going to do 1 ounce of this. That is all of our ingredients. We're gonna add ice, shake it up, pour it into our glass, and then we're gonna garnish, which is one of my favorite parts of all of this. Now we're gonna top with the Elderflower tonic water. Admittedly, I had put one of these in the freezer before I started filming and thought that I would remember in time. I did not remember in time. I took it out and that thing was just hissing out bubbles. So had to put another one in there. We're gonna garnish it. This part is very important, so don't skip this. Even if you don't have the things I'm using, I think it just completes a cocktail. So I'm gonna use these fancy cherries. These are Luxardo cherries. They are in this syrup that lends itself to a sort of blood-like consistency. I know that may sound gross when it comes to a cocktail, but we're talking Alfred Hitchcock, so I think that these are very fitting. I got these dried hibiscus flowers from my local cocktail shop, so I'm gonna use these as well since we use hibiscus vodka. Just gonna put probably one right on top there. That looks nice. There you have it. This is our Voyeur cocktail inspired by the film Rear Window. And now we're gonna give it a taste. That's good. I think that that's really refreshing actually, and that's great because that's what we were going for. It is on the sweeter side as far as cocktails go, but I am getting a little bit of bitterness, and I think that that's coming from the tonic, which is a nice balance to the elderflower and the passion fruit. That the tonic is bitter. Tonic is also sweet. It has sugar in it, but I feel like it adds a bitterness. But let me taste the tonic on its own. I want to see. Yeah, I feel like that is what is giving that bitterness to this, but I like that. And I think that it makes for a good balance to the sweet elements that are in this. And I think the pomegranate also, because it is a sweet juice, but also I think it's tart. Let me see. No, pomegranate juice is not tart. It's not tart, it's very sweet. Yeah, I like that, okay. My garnish fell in, and I know that's gonna be a reason a lot of you say, why even garnish in the first place? It just gets in the way. But as a photographer, the visuals are really important to me, and so I just think it makes it look really beautiful. I'm gonna give it another taste to see if I can offer any more notes on it. I think it checked all of the boxes we set out for ourselves as our inspiration. It is drinkable, it's light, refreshing, it's florally, it's elegant, it's effervescent with those bubbles, and it has that suspenseful color because it had to be this, right? It couldn't be any other color. In the movie, they do drink bourbon and wine. I'm not a big bourbon drinker, so I'm trying to stave off making a bourbon cocktail. And wine, that didn't seem very fun to me either. So I think for our inspiration categories, this definitely checked them all off. I think you should make this and watch Rear Window. If you make this, let me know in the comments what you think about it. And until that next video, I'm wishing you a super swell day, and I will see you again on another episode of Classic Cinema Cocktail Club. Bye. Vintage inspired video. Lars Thorwald. Excuse me. What? And I think that's it. Right?